Fear Not, episode 135. Hi, I'm Billy Atwell, and I believe that consistently facing your fears is the only way to realize your truest self and to make those confident choices that will help you to obtain your deepest held hopes and dreams. I have faith that this podcast series will show you that you are not alone, that it will strengthen you and give you courage to face your fears, and that it will help you to permanently cross over into a life of living beyond your fears. Join me on this journey as we listen and learn from others as they share their experiences in facing and overcoming their own fears. Hello, everybody. Today, you and I are going to be joined by Sriley. Hey, Sherry, how are you today?
I am wonderful. How are you doing?
I'm doing well myself, thank you. Are you ready to fear not today?
I am ready to fear not every day. So, yes.
Sherry spent 20 years creating innovative marketing strategies for some of the world's biggest celebrities and corporations. Some of her clients included Usher, TLC, Toni Braxton, Converse, the NBA, TNT, and many more. Now as an empowerment speaker, life strategist, and author, she works with celebrities, athletes, entrepreneurs, corporate executives, and all-around busy individuals like us to make choices that lead to less stress, better clarity, and a more fulfilling life. She speaks around the world sharing her message of peace is the new success. Her book, Exponential Living, Stop Spending 100% of Your Time on 10% of Who You Are, is the guide to help high achievers to integrate their personal desires into their life without detriment to their personal achievement. Sherry, can you take a few moments to fill in those gaps and maybe give us a brief glimpse of your personal life as well?
Yes. Well, I'm married. I have two daughters. I am active in my community with friends and family. And one of the reasons I wrote the book Exponential Living is because I needed it for myself. I realized that I had these dreams of what the kind of wife I wanted to be, the kind of mother I wanted to be, but I didn't have either one of those at one period of my life, and I realized that I never would if I didn't make some changes. So now, and I can say to you, I'm so happy, Billy, because now I do have the family. I do have the time to spend in, community engagement, and I still have a career that I love.
Sherry, would you also share with us today one of the biggest fears that you've had to face?
Yes, one of my biggest fears has been just what I explained to you just now. And that has been me reaching my greatest potential, me reaching the levels of success personally and professionally that I've dreamt about. And it took me years to really uncover that, for me to really see that every time I reached a breakthrough place in my life, whether it's professionally or personally, unconsciously I would begin self-sabotaging, and not big major detrimental things, but just very subtle decisions that now when I look back, it really was a form of self-sabotage, and it really was a form of falling victim to the fear of really walking and living in the full greatness of who I am.
Wow. I'm really glad you're on the show. This must be total serendipitous. So please tell me, what did you do to overcome that?
I started this journey. I tell people all the time, I'm my first client. I'm my first client. I'm my most important client. And everything that I do with my clients, everything I've written in this book is really because it's what I needed and it's what I've learned and what I've discovered. And so what I've had to do is be very intentional about my thoughts. You know how they say you need to listen to your own thoughts? I've had to be very intentional about getting help, whether that's joining groups like the John Maxwell team. And I am a woman of faith. And so I've had to be very intentional about my prayer time, or for some of us, meditation time, and really making sure that I start my day with prayer and meditation and really getting centered. versus, picking my phone up the first thing and checking emails, checking Facebook. But just really giving myself the time to slow down and be very intentional about what's really important to me. And as I've begun to really discover what was really important to me, I realized that some of the things that I'd been chasing weren't the most important things. And that was when I resigned from LaFace Records. I was on track to be a senior VP. I was the head of the marketing department. I was making a high six figures. I mean, I was really on this fast career track. But I realized that if I had this amazing title and this great career, but I didn't take time to have a husband and children, then that was not success for me. And so one of the first things I had to do, Billy, is I had to redefine success for me. And in that, I had to broaden my definition of success to include more than just my title and my bank account. I broadened success for me to include being married, include having children, include volunteering at my daughter's school, to include watching Blue Bloods on Friday night with my mom because that's what she loves to do. And when I was strong enough in my own courage to broaden that definition of success, I realized that having a big title was only a small piece of what was really success for me.
Sherry, can you explain a little bit more? Because, I sort of have that same fear. It's that I realize that there's so much like potential within me, and it's like I've always capped myself really because of out of how maybe I might offend others or,
Yes.
right? And
Yes. Yes.
that's so ridiculous because we shouldn't, I don't know. But, and then sometimes when you do, like you also said too, that, um, you break through those levels and then you realize that you're making these self-sabotaging things. I don't know about you, but I can be really brutal to myself at those moments. So what do you do when you notice those to help you not get into the trap of beating yourself up and just
Oh
keep
my
moving
God.
forward?
Yeah, and this really is serendipitous because I'm in it right now. Like I am literally in it right now. So for me, same thing. I would say things to myself that I would never say to another person, right? We'll say things to ourselves that we know would just be mean and unkind to say them to someone else. And so right now, and it's very apropos. I am this month. I have some very big opportunities in front of me that are really stretching me professionally. They're stretching me personally. They're stretching me in my marriage. They're stretching me in my relationships with friends. I mean, every area of my life, I'm being stretched. And in my quiet time, in my prayer time, I began to recognize this is the place where I start self sabotaging. This is the place where I will say no when I need to say yes. This is the place where I will slow down when I need to speed up. And I started to recognize that was my form of self sabotage. I would say that's a great opportunity, but I'd figure out a way not to do it. And and when I rationalize it, it would be a really good logical reason. But when I came to this awareness of my greatest fear being walking in the fullness of who I am, I began to realize that no, that's not a logical decision to say no to. Really, you need to say yes because on the other side of that yes, it's some of those great things that you've been asking for, praying for, and knowing that you were able to achieve. And so for me, Billy, when I'm recognizing now, before I make a decision, when something is really, causing me to have a little concern, uh, what I used to call fear, now what I'm looking at is that's excitement. And I'm learning how to really be discerning between when fear is really telling me to be mindful, this is not a good decision, but also when I called it fear, but it really is excitement about stretching and allowing myself to grow at a whole nother level. Because I realized, and maybe this is true for you, I kept reaching a certain level of success and then I'd cap out. And I kept seeing this pattern. And I had to start being honest with myself. I I was allowing myself to cap out because when the opportunities presented themselves for me to go to the next level, I wouldn't do it. And so this month, actually, right now, I'm in the midst of, I said yes to three things personally and professionally that are stretching me. And I'm really excited. And I'm nervous, I'm anxious, but I'm really excited that on the other side of accomplishing these things, that I will have overcome that pattern of self-sabotage.
Sherry, you must have come across some really great material and resources that have helped you to get to this point. Especially when you said that you didn't find things and you sort of created things for yourself. Could you possibly share some of those with us today so that we might be able to check them out ourselves and incorporate them into our own lives?
Yes, well, again, I'm a woman of faith, and I don't try to put my faith on anyone else, but I have to be honest. The Bible is my number one resource. Every, mantra, every everything, every place that I get strength, it comes from somewhere in the Bible. And then there's other resources. Stephen Covey has been a great resource for me. John Maxwell and his books have been great resources for me. Brene Brown has been a great resource as far as their books and their materials. Michael Hyatt has been a great resource for me professionally and just how to really grow my productivity. So those are some of the ones that have their books and some of their teachings have been very resourceful. But I'm going to tell you, outside of the Bible, the number one thing that helped me break through the fear of my own success was a poem by Marion Williamson that many people credit Mandela with saying, because he said it during the South African presidential election, but actually originated with Marion Williamson. And it's that poem, Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, but our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And I quote that full poem. I quote it when I speak, I quote it to myself because she really does talk about when we understand that our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate, but our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. And when we go through and understand that we are all meant to walk in our greatness, and that when we truly own peace, and that's what my message is, peace. When we truly own the power of peace, inner peace, it really releases a power within us that what you referenced early, it releases our connection to what other people think. Because what happens is we begin to accept when we are created to live in the fullness of who we are. And we're not abusive people. We're not arrogant people. We're not, there are those that are like that. But we have to be honest. I know I'm not. And so I don't have to fear that when I walk in a room in the fullness of who I am, that I'm going to come in arrogant or unkind because that's not who I am. But I also don't have to minimize who I am to make other people feel good about who they are because that's not fair either. And so that poem between the Bible and Williamson's poem has really given me the inner insight that it's okay to walk in my fullness.
Do you have a favorite scripture just out of curiosity that I'm thinking First John 4:17 as you're talking about that. I mean, that's what I've been leaning on a lot. Just the fullness of what we're supposed to be, and you know, not led by men but by God. So, yeah.
Yes, I that is one. I have a few, um, and it kind of depends on where I am. But one of a couple that I really stand on is Proverbs 3:5. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not into thine own understanding. And then the second one is Psalms 37:4. Delight thyself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart.
Sherry, are you ready for the speed run?
Let's see. I am ready.
What individual, whether they be fiction or real, has made the most impact on your life?
Jesus.
And if you could instantly change one thing in the world, what would you change?
If there was one thing that I could change, it would be the fact that people do not listen. They're always wanting to just make their point instead of genuinely listening to what others have to say.
What's your biggest weakness?
My biggest weakness is that I sometimes beat myself up and there's areas of low confidence.
What's your biggest strength?
My biggest strength is that I'm a listener. I genuinely listen with my mind, heart, and soul.
And if you could only have one book to read, what's that book going to be?
The Bible.
Do you have a favorite sound?
My favorite sound is any kind of music.
And Sherry, if someone would like to connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Um, for me, everything is my name, Sherry Riley, SheriRiley, on my website. I would love to connect and join my exponential living community, as well as on Twitter and Instagram. It's Sherry Riley. And then on Facebook, it's sherryriley.com, DOTCOM. And then sherryriley.com on YouTube.
And Sherry, what parting advice would you like to leave with us today?
I would love to leave with everyone the power of peace. You know, the definition of exponential living is a lifestyle of pursuing peace, choosing clarity, and living courageously. And what I have found is no matter how complex the issue is that we're dealing with, when we focus in on those three simple truths, peace, clarity, and courage, it really empowers us with whatever we need to do, whatever decision we need to make, whatever changes we need to make in our lives or in the lives around us. Those three simple truths. And I just want to empower everyone with these last words. Peace is possible. Peace is our power, and peace is the new success.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Sherry. And I want to let everyone know, too, that Sherry has generously donated a copy of her book, Exponential Living, that we'll be giving away. So if you would like the opportunity to win that book, visit the giveaways page at livingbeyondyourfears.com and submit your free entry form today. Sherry, wow, I'm really glad you came on the show. I was glad to connect with you and talk with you, and I'm just really grateful that you did come on the show, shared your story, shared some of your wisdom in your time with us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to share with Living Beyond Your Fears, because fear has been my greatest challenge and peace has been my greatest reward. So thank you for allowing me to share this time.
Thank you for joining me today. And remember, you cannot achieve everything, but you do have the God-given ability to achieve anything. So stay focused, out of fear, and keep on keeping on. Until next time, be well and peaceful. For more information on today's episode and guest, or for resources that will assist you in overcoming your fears, visit livingbeyondyourfears.com. And don't forget to subscribe to this podcast, where 3 times a week we move to a life beyond our fears.